Letter E, we're missing an angle. But we're going to find angle X. So as we go across here, this is going to be our opposite side. As we look at the right angle, here's the hypotenuse, which means that this is the adjacent. But we know nothing about the adjacent. So our functions, again, our sine is opposite over hypotenuse, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent is opposite over adjacent. We don't want to use any function that has adjacent in it because we don't know anything about that. We know opposite, we know hypotenuse, and as you take a look here, sine deals with opposite and hypotenuse. The sine of the angle X equals the opposite length divided by the hypotenuse. And remember, we have to use the inverse. So it's a little bit easier on Desmos than it is as I pull up my calculator here. But we need oh good. So for whatever reason my computer wasn't working for a second, but we're ready to type in the inverse sine because we're finding an angle, and then it's 14 divided by 32, and I didn't press the fraction button, but we're going to end up with 25.94. And again, when we're finding an angle, what we need to do is we need to round to the nearest whole number. So since it's 0.9, we're going to say that x equals 26 degrees. On our last one here on this page, page 12, again, we're trying to find angle theta this time. If you don't like theta, write in x. I will use theta. 25 is the opposite. Across from the right angle is the hypotenuse. So we have the adjacent here, and we know nothing about the adjacent, just like the previous problem. So we know, since we know nothing about the adjacent, that we must be using sine of theta, and sine is the opposite divided by the hypotenuse. So when we come over here to type this in, it's a little bit more complicated on the calculator than it is on Desmos, because we can get that button right away. And then we've got 25 divided by 31, and when we press enter, we're finding an angle. We have 53.7. 7 is greater than 5, so we're going to round and end up with theta equals 54. .54 degrees.